Hello students. Now we are going to talk about what is the increase in the number and intensity of floods. So the last thing was what I spoke to you all about was the increase in the number of intensity of floods. There has been an increase in the number of flash floods and the duration of floods. We are well aware and we've seen it around the world. And also the duration of the this could be of very high precipitation in one day. That is Mumbai 2005 and Kedarnath 2013, or because of changed weather conditions like cyclones. Overall, many cities or regions have reported of increased flooding activity. There are cities which repeatedly have gone through this flooding. Urban areas have seen more of flash floods. Also, coastal cities like Venice are facing flooding issues. Now, the second point is the increase in the drought and cyclones. In addition to the triggering more rainfall, global warming could also increase the occurrence of drought. So, the possibility of drought and flood is more because of global warming. A study has shown that a percentage of Earth's land area undergoing serious drought has doubled since 1970s. The roots of both flooding and drought lie in physical processes known as evaporation. As global warming heats the world's oceans, the water molecules near the sea surface become more energetic and tend to evaporate into the atmosphere more readily. Thus, the air gets more water vapor. This effect gets stronger with each additional degree of warming. Similarly, the number of cyclones also in a year has increased in the tropical regions, and so have their intensity. So they are at a greater intensity and they are happening at a greater rate frequently also. Carbon dioxide and crop yields. Over here, basically we are talking about this graph in particular. So this graph we are talking about. So the carbon dioxide, the graph shows increasing levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in parts per million. Increasing amount of carbon dioxide in the air has an impact on health, climate, agriculture, air pollution, and global warming. The World Health Organization suggests that more than 350 ppm of carbon dioxide is harmful to the environment. Means carbon dioxide is very harmful to the environment. You very well know, as suggested by WHO also. It has been observed that with more carbon dioxide in the air, if there is more carbon dioxide in the air, students, the crop yield has increased. Some areas in colder climates have been brought under agriculture because of warming. In some places, amount and continuity of rainfall has increased. Now, rainfall in some places it has increased and it is happening continuously. So this affects the crop yield. See, certain crops need rainfall for a particular period and for a particular time. If there is irregular rainfall, the crop yield gets affected and then it's a vicious circle. So the carbon dioxide plays a very important role where the crop yields are concerned. The rainforests and the climate change. Now, when we talk about the rainforests and the climate change, that studies say that rainforests play a major role in cooling the earth. Rainforests, whether it's the equatorial, the any kind of rainforest, the forests definitely are a boon to Mother Nature. So they say that rainforests play a major role in cooling the earth. But in the moist tropics, the broad leaves of a rainforest canopy help trap moisture and allow it to slowly evaporate, providing a natural air. So there are different kinds of leaves. We are very well aware of a canopy tree. It has broad leaves which are there in the rainforest. What does it do? It helps trap moisture and it allows it to slowly evaporate, providing a natural air cooling effect. When rainforests are slashed and burned over large areas, slash and burn agriculture, we are well aware of this. When this happens, hotter and drier conditions set in. We students, we have learned a lot about the different kinds of types of agriculture. So one of them is slash and burn. So when this takes place, what happens? Hotter and dry conditions set in. When these forests are burned, they release huge amount of carbon dioxide, adding to the atmosphere's load. Deforestation at a large scale has also been reported to alter rainfall patterns. Because of deforestation, the rainfall pattern has also changed over a period of time and over the years, and the amount of precipitation also has got affected. Look at this. Now, when we look at this photosynthesis and respiration, this is a beautiful example of how photosynthesis takes place and respiration takes place. Because of sunlight, water evaporation, photosynthesis takes place because carbon dioxide is taken in, oxygen is given out. All of that is used for respiration, wherein oxygen is taken in by animals and carbon dioxide is given up. All this sums it up how these two gases play a very important role in the environment. Rainforests as well as other vegetation types play an important role in reducing the levels of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Annually, plants in tropical rainforests. Now, this is information about how rainforests play an important role. Plants in tropical rainforests around the world take in millions and tons of carbon dioxide. Now, if there is deforestation, can these plants or these forests which are being, the trees are being felled, can they take tons of carbon dioxide? No. So they release millions of oxygen through photosynthesis, and this balances the respiration of microbes, plants, and animals. See, students, all living organisms are thriving upon oxygen which is released through these rainforests, and if they go through deforestation, there is only carbon dioxide which is left in the atmosphere. So what is it saying? That they release millions of oxygen, these rainforests, through photosynthesis, and this balances respiration of microbes, plants, and animals which take in oxygen and give out. Expel means giving out carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide and water and use the energy of the sun to create carbohydrates. How is carbohydrates created? See, this is the natural process, students. Urine plants take in carbon dioxide and water and use the energy of the sun to create carbohydrates that are in turn oxidized. Oxidized when they come into contact with oxygen to produce the energy needed for plants to sustain themselves, for them to live. The carbohydrates are also the building blocks plants use to make leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits. I hope you'll understand how is this cycle moving. This is adding more information to how this whole process works and how is it important to nurture plant life and animal life. So the carbohydrates are also the building blocks which used to make leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits. Oxygen, the byproduct of respiration, is used by organisms to break down ingested carbohydrates to produce the energy needed for them to grow and reproduce. Mankind's extreme disruption of the carbon cycle is and will continue to have serious costs. See, as human beings, we are more responsible for the conditions what we are living in and are prevailing. Because there is extreme disruption by us in the name of development and technology, without thinking about nature and how have we to give it back to nature. So mankind's extreme disruption of the carbon cycle is and will continue to have serious consequences for life on earth. Coming to this, basically we were on the causes and effects of climate change. Now, what are the causes and effects of climate change? Before I get back to that, we need to understand this. Though we believe that human activities are a major cause behind climate change, there are some natural causes for climate change. Some of the natural causes are the amount of energy output by the sun is not the same always. Yes, low energy output by the sun can reduce the amount of insolation received by the earth. Insolation, solar energy, the energy which is given by the sun. This can lead to cooling of the earth. Second point, what are the causes or the natural causes of climate change? Another cause are the Milankovitch oscillations. Now, what is this? Earth revolves around the sun. We are aware of this. The variations in the Earth's orbital characteristics around the sun and the changes in the Earth's axial tilt occur. So, there is some change in the tilt while the Earth revolves around the sun. Scientists believe that these changes alter the amount of insolation received from the sun, which in turn might affect its climate. They can cause the Earth to be closer to the sun, warmer, or further from the sun. Ice ages can occur when we are further from the sun. The third point, what they're talking about as a natural cause of climate change, is the volcanism. Volcanism is also there. It is considered another cause for climate change. The volcanic eruptions, when these volcanic eruptions happen, what does that do? It throws lots of particulates, whatever the pieces are, and aerosols, especially sulfur dioxide, into the atmosphere. These aerosols remain in the atmosphere for a longer period, for a considerable period of time. When they remain, and then the wind spreads, so the wind spreads it around the world, reducing the sun's radiation reaching capacity on the earth's surface, students. I repeat again over here, volcanism is, why is volcanism another cause of climate change? Because when volcanoes occur, they throw out some particles, especially the aerosols, which is called the sulfur dioxide, especially sulfur dioxide, into the atmosphere. So this remains in the atmosphere. Then what happens when there are strong moving winds? They take them away and spread it all around the world, which in fact reduces the sun's radiation reaching the earth's surface. And the second point is these aerosols or sulfur dioxide remains in the atmosphere a longer period of time. It has been observed that all of the coldest years on record in the past 2 centuries have occurred in the year following a major volcanic eruption. After the recent Elsion in 1982 and Pinatubo in 1991 volcanic eruptions. Now, let's understand the causes and effects of climate change. What are the causes and effects of climate change? Rapid industrialization, yes, setting up of industries, factories, and development in the name of development. Energy use, we are conserving a lot of original new natural energy. Agricultural practices, I have spoken to you all in detail. Deforestation, consumer practices, livestock, transport systems. So this also is a cause of concern. Resource extraction and pollution. Now, what are the effects? Rising sea temperatures, so rising temperatures, rising sea levels, unpredictable weather patterns, increase in extreme weather events, land degradation, loss of wildlife and biodiversity. We all are a witness to all these effects, and the causes are definitely through mankind. What is the social impact of climate change? See, when there is an impact, there is a social impact also of climate change on us or on the society. People are displaced. So when there's displacement, there's poverty, there's loss of livelihood, standard of living cannot be maintained for a longer period of time. So when there's poverty, there's hunger, there's malnutrition, there are whole lot of diseases. Now we are getting prone to pandemics. Now pandemics are not going to be over a period of, after 100 long years or something like that, because given the situation and the kind of conditions what we are living in right now, and we've calmed the climate, there is increased risk of diseases, and different kinds of diseases will crop up because of our doings. Global food and water shortages. as I spoke to you all about volcanic. The past century has seen dramatic increases of carbon dioxide and other GHG emissions, particularly from burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and to a lesser extent, natural gas. Some of the primary causes of climate change are fossil fuel combustion, burning of fossil fuels, industrial processes, development of industries, deforestation, transportation, and even buildings. On a day-to-day level, since much of the energy we consume or products we use requires fossil fuel input. Now, whether it's building of roads, constructions, coal is used so much. If you look at coal, it's definitely going to uh, get over very, very, very soon. Every time we turn on the lights, small things, LED lights we have, and we don't think of how many hours we keep the geyser on, the taps are open, heat our homes, use a gas stove. Everybody has a washing machine at home and dishwashers, wherein the electricity generation of electricity is there, but it's been used so much. Travel by car or airplane, traveling has become, because of tourism which has grown over a period of time past 10 years, so much so that travel by car or airplane has become something very normal. And given the airfare prices, airfares, most of them can afford flying through air. Grow or consume food, different kinds of foods, exotic foods and vegetables, what we consume, what we hear. We want to have all of that and use a lot of paper or paper products. Now, tissue paper, as plastic is banned, it's a very good thing. But then in return, if you see, paper bags, paper tissues have been used so much, and Western countries, they rely more on tissues. If you see, a lot of paper is used in these Western developed countries. So they contribute to climate change. Look at this diagram also. If you can see, what happens is carbon is stored in fossil fuels. The carbon is absorbed by plants via photosynthesis. Then these GHGs are released into the atmosphere when the fossil fuels are burned. What happens with this? The carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are abundant in the atmosphere, so they get trapped or stored in the vegetation. Then the carbon dioxide is stored in soils. Then there are decaying plants and other matter which produce carbon and other GHGs. With this also, if you see, GHGs, greenhouse gases, are released into the atmosphere via respiration of animals and plants. So it's a whole cycle which goes on, and the aftermath of that is something what we are witnessing. Next, what we come to is page number 64. So they are talking about the fourth cause, basically natural cause of climate change. The scientists believe that the Earth lies in a habitable zone called the Goldilocks zone. So the habitable zone is called the Goldilocks zone. The Earth experienced cooler climate early in its history when it was located in the outer reaches of this zone. As the size of the sun increases, the zone moves outward over time. Such changes in the zone causes Earth to warm or cool. Besides these natural causes, we have already seen the anthropogenic effect of the climate. The emission of the carbon dioxide, all throughout whatever I have gone through in this session, is we've spoken about the emission of carbon dioxide and how it has harmed the climate. The emission of the carbon dioxide mainly comes from fossil fuels combustion. Large-scale deforestation also increases carbon dioxide. The atmosphere takes around 20 to 25 years to adjust. So look at the amount of years it takes in to adjust carbon dioxide. These high levels of carbon dioxide. Therefore, it is generally regarded that man and his activities are a major cause of climate change. Now, the next question arises, is climate change happening for the first time? It is not the first time that we are experiencing this change in climatic patterns. There have been many major and minor fluctuations in the type of climate we experience now. The earth has witnessed today, now at present times, the earth is witnessing many variations in climate since the beginning. These are various geological records that show alteration of glacial and interglacial periods. So there is a difference between the glacial and the interglacial periods. The sediment deposits in glacial lakes also reveal means show the occurrence. They show the occurrence of warm and cold periods. The rings in the trees provide clues about the wet and dry periods. The historical records, the past records, as in, describe the variations in climate. All these evidences indicate that change in climate is a natural and continuous process. There are periods within ice ages that scientists define as glacial and interglacial. Now, what is a glacial period, students? A glacial period is a cold period when the glaciers are expanding. On the other hand, in an interglacial period, a warm climate makes the glaciers recede. It makes the glaciers recede. Some tools for studying climate change. Paleoclimatology. Paleoclimatology is the study of weather and climate of the Earth's past. Scientists and meteorologists have been using instruments to measure climate and weather for the past 140 years. Now, what are the tools which are being used to study climate change? Then, how do they tell about the climate millions of years ago? They use historical evidence called proxy data. What is proxy data? They use past climates to study as evidences. Examples of proxy data include the tree rings, the ice cores, the coral reefs, and the ocean sediments. The coral reefs, I have spoken to you all enough about this. They are formed skeletons by extracting calcium carbonate from ocean waters. When the water temperature changes, densities of calcium carbonate in the skeleton also change. Coral formed in the summer has a different density than coral formed in the winter. This creates seasonal growth rings on the coral. Scientists can study these rings to determine the temperature of the water in the season in which the coral grew. Tree rings. Now, what are these tree rings basically? When I spoke to you all about this Goldilocks, basically what is this? Part of the part of the hunt for water on other worlds means looking for planets orbiting a certain distance from their stars. What is it? Planets in this zone are neither too hot nor too cold. Conditions could be just right for liquid water. There is only one planet we know far that is the teeming with life, which is teeming with life, is that of Earth. And our planet, water is as critical ingredient for life as we know it. While astronomers still don't know whether there's life on other planets, they narrow the search. These astronauts, what do? They narrow it down for the search of potentially habitable worlds using a handful of criteria. Because our blueprint for life is Earth, astronomers look for planets with Earth-like characteristics like liquid water. A celestial object can only orbit so close like Mercury or so far like Pluto from its star before water goes on its surface, boils away or freezes. I'm talking about Goldilocks zone, which is called a habitable zone, is the range of distance with the right temperatures for water to remain liquid. Discoveries in the Goldilocks zone like Earth-sized planet are what scientists hope will lead us to water and one day life. Then this is what they were saying, talking to us about. It is not for the first time. We were here on coral reefs. Corals formed in the summer has a different density than coral formed in the winter. This creates seasonal growth rings on the coral. Scientists can study these rings to determine the temperature of water and the season in which the corals grew. I hope when you all get back to listening to these videos, coral reefs is one topic which I have spoken to you all in detail, and I hope the concept of Goldilocks is clear to you all. Coral reefs also, I have told you all what coral reefs are. Then the tree rings, when we talk about tree rings, the variation in these rings is due to the variation in environmental conditions when they were formed. Thus, studying this variation leads to improved understanding of past environmental conditions. What are the ice cores? When we talk about ice cores, look at figure 5.7 and 5.8. They are samples of ice taken from the inner sides of the ice sheets. Through each year, layers of snow fall over the ice sheet in Greenland and Antarctica. Each layer of snow is different. Summer snow differs from winter snow. So there are two types of ice sheets in summer snow and winter snow. All of them are studied in different ways because they have different characteristics. Each layer gives scientists a lot of information about the climate each year. Many parts of the world experienced alternate wet and dry periods. The geological findings show that the Rajasthan desert experienced wet and cool climate around 8,000 years back. It became drier around 4,000 years ago after the Harappa civilization. So initially it wasn't that there wasn't rain or it was dry. It is just after 4,000 years ago, after the Harappa civilization, Rajasthan is what it is today. In the geological past, the earth was also warmer around 500 to 300 million years ago. Approximately 10,000 years ago, the last glacial period ended. The well-preserved fossils from animals and plants such as the mammoth are from this late era. The changes in the climate in the past century do not actually point out that humans are involved. Now, when we talk about if the climate of the earth has changed many times before, then why are we concerned now? The current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely to be the result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate which is unprecedented over decades to millennia. Ice core samples, which we just studied about, ice core samples, basically the ice sheets are studied, the inner sides of ice sheets. Ice core samples drawn from ice cores in Greenland, Antarctica, and tropical mountain glaciers show that the Earth's climate responds to changes in greenhouse gas levels. Ancient evidences, old evidences can be seen in tree rings, ocean sediments, coral reefs, and layers of sedimentary rocks. So all these evidences, how can we get it from? From all coral reefs, sediments, layers of sedimentary rocks. It also shows that the current warming right now is occurring roughly 10 times faster than the average rate of warming. Now this lesson we've studied is about global warming and change. Now what steps have been taken to tackle climate change? So that is something what we are going to come to next. So basically, when we talk about some kind of sedimentary rock, the sedimentary rock is a type of rock that forms when particles from other rocks or the remains of plants and animals are pressed and cemented together. Coming to this, how does this affect? What steps have been taken? In the 20th century, many researchers had started working on topics such as climate history of the earth, use of fossil fuels, local climate changes. In 1950s, precise measurements of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere confirmed its steady increase in the atmosphere. Later on, the greenhouse gases were also reported to increase. By 1980s, it was found that the temperature of the earth is rising. See, when it got into their notice was in the late 1950s, where carbon dioxide was measured. Then the greenhouse gases started increasing, and in 1980s, it was found that the temperature of the earth is rising. A lot of research has been tackled by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. We are very well aware of the famous Paris Climate Change Pact, wherein America was not a part of it, and it got all it went through a lot of criticism because it was a serious matter and it wasn't taken seriously. Till now, the IPCC has published 5 reports on climate change and several special reports, with the latest, which is produced in 2018, which is called the global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade or Celsius, sorry. The reports have given targets to all countries so that together we can prevent the earth from warming. As I told you all this right now itself, students, the countries have also signed Kyoto Protocol, the Paris Agreement 2016, which America till last year wasn't a part of it. This year, the President Joe Biden has again come into signing this pact. Climate change and India. Developing countries, the least developing countries, and small islands are at higher risk of damage due to climate change. So these underdeveloped, non-developed, and small island countries are at higher risk. Why? Because now suppose example they've given here, Fiji will be underwater within 50 years. These countries such as India and China, who now contribute to the global emissions. So India, our countries, plays a major role in global emissions, which they have to really control and have to take wiser steps to control it for the betterment of the future. However, at the same time, they have to fulfill their development needs through utilization of natural resources and industrialization. India has high vulnerabilities to climate change impacts due to its peculiar economy. So, because of certain kind of economy and geography, they are quite vulnerable. So, promoting clean energy, taking steps to protect environment, and the government of India has taken some taken some important steps. What are those? National Action Plan on Climate Change 2008. It consists of 8 submissions which together make up the national plan. National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, that is to assist, to help the states and the union territories, particularly UTs is union territories, particularly which are vulnerable, which are easily to get into these adverse effects of climate change in meeting the cost of adaptation. NABARD has been appointed as national implementing entity for the fund. The third thing what they are doing over here is National Clean Energy Fund. Fund has been created using the carbon tax on coal. Now there is a tax which has to be paid on coal especially for funding research and development projects in clean energy technologies of public or private sector, whether both sectors, public sector or private sector. An assistance of up to 40% of total project costs, as in a help from the government. Up to 40% of total project costs will be provided either in the form of loan or grants. Then what are the lifestyle changes what they are talking about? It is now believed, this is something what before I go to the lifestyle changes, the climate change, what does it mean? Changes in measures of temperature and rainfall. It may be cooling or warming of climate. Climate change, in short, what is the gist of this lesson? Basically, it may result from natural factors, natural processes within the climate, human activities. The greenhouse gases for climate change, which are those? This is like a summing up of the lesson. Carbon dioxide, methane, halocarbons, that is the CFCs and HFCs, the nitrous oxide, water vapor. The evidences of climate change. The physical evidences, what we are well aware of, is the rise in the carbon dioxide levels, the depletion in rainfall, shifting and shrinking of cooling period, changing pattern of monsoons. We are seeing rains anytime, occurrence of natural disasters. What are the biological? Early blossoming of trees, appearance of grasses in Antarctica, then changing cropping pattern. The future impacts of climate change. Now, how is it going to affect in India? As I just read out to you all about what are the steps which are taken by the government of India. Now, how can it affect India also? Decreased snow cover, erratic monsoon with serious effects on rain-fed agriculture. We are already witnessing that. Drop in wheat production. That's the Haryana, Punjab belt where wheat production is the highest. So by 4 to 5 meters with 1 degree Celsius raise in temperature, raising sea level. and increased frequency and intensity of floods. So we are going to be quite prone to floods if climate change is not taken seriously. This is what happens. What all had happened? Earthquake in Gujarat, we are well aware. Tsunami in Southeast Asia, Mumbai floods in 2005. This was the scene. Then the Muir Glacier, how was it in August 13? These are just some pictures and examples for you all to understand what is the scene as on now. And how is it in 2004? And how was it on August 13, 1941? By 2050, what is the possibility of climate change? 25 million children will be malnourished. The irrigated wheat yield will decrease by 30%, the rice yield also by 15%, and will increase prices by 90% for wheat and rice and maize. What are the options to deal with the impact climate change? Overall, these pacts which are signed, as in the Kyoto Protocol or the Paris Agreements, what are these? To develop cultivators which are tolerant to heat and salinity stress, renewable energy, funding research and development projects, for example, through technology, also getting some changes, giving some assistance to people who are working on green energy. So all of that. So what we can read this is developing cultivators tolerant of heat and salinity stress and resistance to flood and drought, modified crop management practices, improving water management, crop diversification, improving pest management, better weather forecast and crop insurance, harnessing the indigenous technical knowledge of farmers. Students, this is the best slide I suppose I could say, because as a citizen or as a moral responsibility towards nature, this is how we can look at the earth. Is the earth is in our hands and we can save the earth. So this brings us to an end of the lesson. Lifestyle changes and climate changes. It is now believed that we can all make changes in a lifestyle to combat climate change effectively. This could include buying things that are necessary. Live a simple life, buy things which are really necessary, walking smaller distances, not taking your bikes to just go to shorter distances, using energy efficient devices, reducing our dependence on wood and not using plastic. So this is a way of some lifestyle changes which we can get and help the crisis what the human race is going through as in now, or the world is going through. So thank you, class.